Okay.
Okay, I'm back, Biffy. You didn't know I was gone, probably. All right. I'll wait until you tell me Erica's on the line. I can do some other stuff if she's not there right away. She did say, I talked to her, I said 10 minutes ago. She did say she was ready, so.
Web address: see irs.gov for details.
Wheeling Coin and Hobby on 10th Street in Wheeling, next to the Bridge Tavern in downtown Wheeling, wants to buy any and all unwanted gold and silver jewelry. They are paying top dollar for 10, 14, 18, and 22 karat gold plus 925 sterling silver. They also want to buy collectible coins and paper money from before 1933. Wheeling Coin and Hobby is open daily from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Saturday. Coin and Hobby, 304-232-8430, and add them on Facebook.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Wednesday. Mostly cloudy skies with occasional rain showers. A daytime high of 72. Occasional rain right through the evening and the overnight. Otherwise, mostly cloudy with a low near 60 degrees. Chance of rain showers continuing on and off for your Thursday with highs in the lower 70s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
It's almost time for my show!
You're a little late.
The show's ready to stop.
And you're still in bed?
You're still in bed. You're still in bed?
What about work? Gotta get up, go to work. That's morning guy's problem.
What's your problem now?
Your problem now.
What's on the agenda today?
First thing on the agenda, actually, the only thing on the agenda.
A very simple goal. To entertain folks.
Let's start the show.
Celebrating the 100 days of summer. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Here we go. Day number 3 of the 100 days of summer. A rainy day in store. 58 degrees and cloudy right now at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 60 degrees and cloudy here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. And 60 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Rain kind of on and off throughout the day. More of a drizzle or shower until we get into the late night hours. Then we'll probably have a good soaking rain. That'll continue into tomorrow. Linger a little bit into Friday morning. Then a beautiful weekend is in store with mid-80s and sunshine. Kind of muggy, Zach says, but all the way around. Going to be a pretty good weekend. Yesterday, I gave you some bad info about the major bridge project in Wheeling's Elm Grove section of Wheeling. I goofed on that yesterday, but it doesn't make any difference because there's no major bridge project underway anyway. The Department of Highways yesterday has changed the project in the wake of huge amounts of public concern over traffic tie-ups in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. And while there will be work done on the Arch Bridge, the Stone Bridge, the Monument Place Bridge, whatever you want to call it, they will start work scheduled today. Again, I don't know because of the weather whether they'll do it today or not, but the work will begin, but they're not going to close the bridge completely until April of 2022. So a little reprieve on those giant traffic tie-ups there, and I want to make sure I got that along to you. Cruise lines in Florida are at odds with the governor over vaccination requirements. I want to get into that a little bit before we wrap things up for today. The governor says you cannot ask anyone if they're vaccinated in Florida. And the cruise lines say, well, we want to make sure the only people on our ships are vaccinated. So there's a little dust up right there. And Governor Justice yesterday outlined more details about the fun and games he has planned, excuse me, pardon me, to encourage more vaccinations. He also offered some more thoughts on his finances following a Wall Street Journal article this week. Brad McElhenney from Metro News will join us, and we will talk about all of that. But right now, let me welcome the president of the Wheeling Area Chamber of Commerce and Ohio County Delegate, Erica Storch, to the program. Good morning, Erica.
Good morning, Howard.
Glad you could be with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Strategic plan, the Greater Wheeling Area Strategic Plan, Regional Plan was released last week. We talked with some folks from WVU's Bureau of Business Research about that. They were the ones who helped the Chamber put this together. We kind of got an overview of it, and folks may have had a chance to read it. I don't know. Talked to the mayor a little bit about it yesterday, too. What's your take on it? This was really a Chamber of Commerce sponsored or initiated project. What did you think of the report that came back?
There were some surprises in it, but overall, I think it's a good document that we can really use as a template to work together with our surrounding communities. And, like they indicated a couple action items, we can create a plan. I hate to use the word plan twice in the same description. I don't think that's allowed. Hopefully my 8th grade English teacher isn't listening. But we can come up with a real mechanism to help.
There we go. That's good.
With our, I don't want to say rebirth either, because I don't know that we really need a rebirth, but I just think it gives an opportunity for the business community to weigh in their needs and their concerns, and then we can take from those the development priorities expressed, the educational priorities needed. We can focus on the development focus items that are things that people really appreciate in our region, as well as the regional strengths that were identified by those in the region, but while being cognizant of development impediments.
Wow. That was pretty good. And you didn't repeat plan more than a couple times. That's good. Very good. One of the key things that the strategic plan suggested is a better definition of the Wheeling region. And I know going into this, that was one of your issues, to make sure that this was not just a city of Wheeling plan or an Ohio County plan, but kind of took a region-wide look at things. I think coming out of the plan, it looks to me like the WVU Bureau of Business and Economic Research feels there's still a need to maybe better define the region we're talking about, or maybe even look at individual aspects of the region with maybe different kinds of development. I may be overlaying my own thoughts over top of what they're saying, but what do you think about that?
No, you're 100% correct, and I think it's indicated. So I would say that where they got better define the region, you are 100% accurate. I was very, I always try to be overly broad. I try to, I don't want just Wheeling or Ohio County to succeed. I think it's a Northern Panhandle focus or Upper Ohio Valley focus. We've talked about it on legislative issues over the course of my time in the legislature. How many times in a day do you not know in the morning when you leave your house you're going to go into Ohio, but inevitably during that day you cross into Ohio? So if we view them as, on the other side of this border, this non-imaginary border, because it is defined by the border, then we're going to, I think we'll be segmented and broken. But I appreciate WVU in their response to better defining it, because I think they believe that they were going to get feedback and input from out the 8-county area that we tasked them with looking into. And yet, when you look at the responses by county, Ohio County overwhelmingly was the largest to respond to the survey.
Well, that's probably not surprising either. It is kind of the basis of the area, and the Wheeling Chamber is right there. But one of the things that the folks on the Bureau of Economic Research talked about last week in this plan was, pardon me, I do apologize. I got the crud in my throat for some reason this morning. One of the things they talked about was that how you define the region has a lot to say about what areas you look at developing. Certain parts of the Upper Ohio Valley, both sides of the river, up and down the Panhandle and so on. Some parts are more dependent on oil and gas. Some are more dependent on other kinds of economic development. You kind of have to define the area you're talking about before you can really begin to get a handle on what the development properties might be, possibilities might be.
Well, and even within the Wheeling MSA, which is Metropolitan Statistical Area, that WVU typically looks at for Wheeling, and then we had asked them when they performed the yearly Economic Outlook Conference to include Wetzel County in that, because we partner with RED on that initiative. but even within just the Wheeling MSA, which is Belmont County, Ohio, and Marshall counties in West Virginia, we all bring unique assets and liabilities to the equation. Ohio County is very small in geography and is pretty developed. If you want to build a house, it's very challenging to find land to build a house in Ohio County.
You're going on the hill. If you're doing something new, you're going on a hill.
And when your children play ball, they're going to find their ball at the bottom of the hill. Hopefully not in traffic. And then Marshall County and Belmont County share some similarities with their lessly sparse populated geographic footprint. They're also larger geographic footprint. And, they share the oil and gas development. Well, but Ohio County has assets as well, and I don't want to diminish Ohio County. I love Wheeling and I love Ohio County. We have in Ohio County, we're the headquarters of all the banking locally. We have the heads of the banks, the main branches of the banks. Our outlying counties that we focused on in this, they have branch establishments, but we have the headquarters. We have a lot of the headquarters of the law firms in Ohio County. A lot of the law activity that happens in the Panhandle happens in Ohio County. The higher ed happens in Ohio County. I would say for a size geographically as Ohio County, we're probably an outlier with having 3 higher ed colleges and universities and higher ed and having 1 higher ed community college.
Yeah, Wheeling and Ohio County is really more of the, for lack of a better phrase, and I'll put it in air quotes, the professional center. We have education, as you said, lawyers, bankers, the professional center of things. Whereas you look at Marshall and Belmont as an example, they tend to be a little more industrial, a little more gas oriented. So, again, looking at that, it's hard to develop an overall strategy, isn't it? When Ohio County's professional development may be very different than Marshall and Belmont County's industrial development.
Well, we'll just have to bring the invested stakeholders to the table and get, their input and their feedback as to how they see this all working. Because I think if we look at it as a county by county or municipality by municipality, I think you'll have so many people duplicating so many efforts that'll be just tweaks difference. It'll just be the one little tweak of difference that will just be such an expansive amount of effort outlaid to get that accomplished for just that minute difference.
I don't know that this strategic plan addressed this, but one of my concerns always has been is that we have a lot of very good entities, all of whom are doing, for lack of a better phrase, I'll call it development type activities around the area. But there isn't as great a coordination as I think there should be. I don't know how to describe it any better than that. And I don't know that the plan addressed that either. But there are a lot of different people, from the chamber to RED to the council to other entities, all sort of out doing their own thing. Somewhere we got to put some of this together. At least that's my opinion.
And that was our hope with this plan. We brought all the stakeholders to have an opportunity. And this wasn't. I didn't just wake up one day and say, you know what, I think we need to engage WVU in coming up with a plan. This started in 2019. It was a little frustrating to look back and realize how long we had been working on this. But for a pandemic, we could take a year out of that because poor WVU had to go back and reevaluate their calculations and relook at the data and come up with a whole new, not maybe whole new, but a modified plan just because, they were ready to roll it out last March. So we met in 2019. The health plan had recently moved to 1110 Main Street, And we had a group from WVU, a group from the business community. We had the city present, the county, Wheeling Heritage, Red. And so this was a work product of that conversation. We had a couple meetings with that group, and then we had a breakfast meeting at Wheeling Island Racetrack where WVU showed us the plan that they had created for the Potomac Highlands region. And from there, we sought the input of those that had participated in that meeting with Wheeling Island with WVU professionals, and they, like I said, they showed us what they had done with Potomac Highlands, and we were like, do we think this is something we want to do? And so, that was what started this, and then they started working on it in the 2019-2020 school year. Like I said, they were ready to pitch it or roll it out in March of 2020. Not really roll it out. They were ready to get working on the focus groups, the small focus groups, to gather more intricate data. And that didn't happen until this past February, I think. They were able to connect by Zoom. And so we were a little behind, but, now we have it. So, and it's relevant. And like I said, they did tweak it. So it wasn't like it's 2019, 2020 information that didn't take into account. Now there have been some things that have happened since they started on this. In the healthcare center or the healthcare focus of this, they mentioned OVMC and East Ohio Regional closing. They don't indicate that East Ohio Regional has reopened. There's no indication that WVU has assumed the operations of Wheeling Hospital. So, there are some positives that aren't necessarily reflected in this, but I still think it's a good starting point for us.
As I read the implementation steps in this plan, it seems to me that most of them are still pretty broad and open, and they're really almost, in a sense, still more questions to be answered than actual action steps, with perhaps one exception, and it's no surprise, and that's workforce training, which they say really needs to be, looked at more in depth, talk more with the stakeholders, get a better sense of what kind of training is needed for the jobs that we have and the jobs we're going to have. Workforce training seems to be one particular big focus they gave.
Yes, and there's a slide in here earlier, which was the one that was most surprising to me, and that was the one that they indicate those that have different levels of their education completed and those needs in our community. It's probably about the demand versus supply, where they have a high school degree, the demand supply. What most surprised me was that in every category, high school, some college or associate's degree, a bachelor's degree or higher, every category we had more supply than the demand was needed, which, I guess, seeing the census and knowing that particularly Ohio County has lost more population, it falls in line with that. We're educating our young, and they're leaving the area.
Right. And that is one of our greatest challenges.
Yes, but what was surprising to me was on the Potomac Highlands one, on that slide, that indicated that they didn't necessarily have the education necessary for the positions that are available in that region. But the head scratcher for me is that while it does appear that we have a lot more supply than the demand, you can't go anywhere in Ohio County at the moment without everybody hiring. Anybody you talk to is hiring.
Yeah, the people who make hiring now signs have to be doing well because they're on every business around, yeah.
And so I participated in a business roundtable yesterday afternoon, and just going around the table with those that were present and indicated how many jobs they could fill within their organizations. And there were not that many people sitting around this table. Maybe I'm going to say 20, maybe 24. They came up with 437 jobs.
Skilled jobs, though, or service level jobs?
I would say it was a variety. Obviously, Ogilvy was there. They would have seasonal needs, and but they're wanting to get. They expressed the desire to not only get the people in to do that work, but they want to find a way to vest them so that while they may start with the park at 14 and 15 because they have that flexibility and that latitude to start people younger, and they have restrictions on what they're able to do. And I'm happy to say my youngest has just started working at Wheeling Park, and it's awesome because she has someplace to be, which is delightful. But they want to vest those kids so that they want to come back when they're in college and work there, and then they want to come back and forge careers in the park system, which is, a wonderful way to think. I mean, look at Rod Haley. I believe he started at the park when he was 14 or maybe younger. I think he was born in the park, but he's my age and he's been with the park his whole career, and he's had a great career. So, so that's what we need to get kids to think, that, while you may get in as entry level, you will, if you put in your time, do your work, and learn what you need to learn, there are opportunities to advance. There was representatives from Cal Cruth and East Coast there. And so I would have to believe that while they do have various levels of skill needed for the jobs they perform, I mean, I think that, a focus on your safety is probably key and paramount in those type of manufacturing jobs.
Before I let you go, Erica, just quickly, so what happens next? The Chamber is going to do what with this? You have the plan, you did the surveys, the focus groups, the report is now out. What do you do next?
So now we're working on getting the like-grouped stakeholders together. So say the county commissioners. We'll create a meeting with the county commissioners. We'll create a meeting with the municipalities. We'll create a meeting with higher ed. We'll have a meeting with the K-12. And and it's our goal to go out a little bit into some of these communities, because like I said, we had a lot of support from Wheeling and Ohio County. And I mean, it's frustrating because I know how many emails I've sent, and I know how many times I've talked about it. So I really appreciate you talking about it, because then it's somebody else talking about it, not just me.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out. I think you got some info, you got some statistics to work with. We'll just keep on trying to figure out where. Excuse me, where do we go? Eric, I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much. The report is interesting. Folks who want to actually read the report can find it at the WVU Bureau of Business and Economic Research webpage. The whole report is there. People can take a look at the whole thing if they would like to. And I wanted to talk to you about spending federal money at the state level, but I don't have time today. We'll do that some other time. You can put your delegate hat on when we get into that. But thanks for joining me this morning. I appreciate it, as always.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon. Ohio County delegate, but in this case, more importantly, President of the Wheeling Area Chamber of Commerce, Erica Storch, the Greater Wheeling, what's this thing called? I just had it in front of me. I put it away. Greater Wheeling Regional Plan, Action Plan for Economic Development, designed by the WVU Bureau of Business and Economic Research. We talked to folks from the BBR last week. I talked to Erica about that today. The Chamber was kind of the originating and funding mechanism for that. I still think there's not a lot of detail in the implementation part of this plan. There is some, but there's a lot of just sort of where do we go next kind of thing. It's not a beginning, it's an end, I guess. All right, got some news for you from the Big 7 WTRF TV, and we'll check some sports. I'll try to clear my throat so I won't be doing this the whole time in the next segment. Brad's going to join us. We're going to talk about the governor's finances. $700 million personal guarantee for a loan. Yikes! I wouldn't want to have a $700 personal guarantee for a business loan, let alone $700 million. But we'll get into that with Brad. And also, fun and games are coming for our vaccination incentives. It's coming up here on the Watchdog Morning Show for a Wednesday, 8:33:27 till the hour, 60 degrees.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time.
Metro News Sports, good morning. I'm Kyle Wiggs. Taz Sherman is returning.
Okay, Steve.
With Governor Justice as we go into Brad. I mean, I'll introduce it, but we'll use it and then we'll bring Brad on. Yeah, from Wise Brothers. Cut one. It's the governor. Yeah. Okay. When we come back, I'll start with that and then I'll bring Brad in. Okay. Thank you. Man. My heavens. Let me know when Brad's there. Thank you. Am I going to need a break, Biff? Okay.
We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection.
Moundsville.
Okay, thank you.
Bill DeFabio and Big Rick for the best live and local talk in the Upper Ohio Valley and beyond. Moundsville trusts the watchdog.
You can watch a video cast of our show every morning on Facebook Live or on our website. Plus, check archives of all of our videos on the Watchdog YouTube channel. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
61 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. It's cloudy there. 61 degrees. Temperatures bumped up here at my home studio. It's cloudy here as well. Had a bit of rain earlier this morning at the home studio, and we are looking probably at some rain on and off throughout the day today. More light showers and drizzle until we get into the late evening hours when we could see a good steady soaking rain. More rain coming in tomorrow as well. 18 to the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. We have talked a lot about visioning here the last couple of weeks on this show with the strategic plan that was created by WVU's Bureau of Business and Economic Research in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce. We talked to folks with the BBR last week and Erica Storch of the Chamber just a few minutes ago. We talked about visioning for the city of Wheeling with Mayor Elliott yesterday. And one of the more interesting things that's happening in the city of Wheeling right now, I think, is Third Ward Councilwoman Rosemary Ketchum is doing what she calls walkabouts. Really interesting idea, I think. She did one in South Wheeling, part of her ward, and in Center Wheeling, also part of her ward, where she gathers residents together and they walk the neighborhood. And the neighbors point out some concerns and the positive things and ideas they want. It's a really neat way, I think, to put visioning together. We'll talk to Rosemary about that tomorrow. Yesterday was the day that the Tulsa massacre was commemorated. And in thinking about that, it struck me how much of African American history the general public doesn't know. How much does not make its way into our history books. So tomorrow I've invited our friend Reverend Cummings to come in and talk about that. Some parts of African American history that are just not worked into the general population history books. So that's a bit of what's coming up tomorrow here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Now, so it began with a savings bond. And then it became a patriotic gift card. I still don't know quite where it's to, but a patriotic gift card. And now, I mean, we got trucks and bucks and I guess rifles and hunting licenses. I mean, the governor says it's all fun and games to get you to get your vaccination. And it all will come together on Father's Day.
On Father's Day, we're also going to give away 2 brand new custom outfitted trucks. We're going to give 5 custom hunting rifles and 5 custom hunting shotguns away. And also on Father's Day, we're going to make one of you a millionaire.
Well, all righty then. With me is Brad McElhenney from Metro News. Brad, what's your choice of prize? What would you like to get?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, so I said on Talkline that I wanted the governor to put some English bulldogs in for the raffle. And then I was holding out for, Baby Dog Jr. But my dad jumped on me and Father's Day. He said, "What are you doing? I mean, take the $1 million and you can get as many English bulldogs as you want." So I think that's prize number one. But it's just me and you talking, right, Howard? I'm kind of a wimp and a nerd, and I don't know what I would do with the souped-up truck or the shotguns, or it's very limited pickings for me. So I'm hoping that in later dates they put some bulldogs in.
Maybe you could just go back to the savings bond, Brad.
Maybe the savings bond. it may mature in time for my retirement, so that might be nice.
There you go. We had a caller yesterday.
I'm hanging on for the savings bond. I'm hanging on.
Brad, aren't you ready to retire yet? No, I'm waiting for my savings bond to mature. I want that $100. We had a caller yesterday who frequently calls in, and he refers to Governor Justice as Governor Goober, and it's not. Let's put it this way: he's not a big fan of the governors, right? But he called yesterday. He said, "I want to say how much I love the governor, and I think he has great goodness in his heart, and I'm a big fan." Because he wanted the F-150 pickup truck.
What's he going to do with it?
I don't want to be on his bad side, just in case I might win. I want him to think of me in a good way. So
you never
is this
know.
Going to work?
We talked about what would we do at our house if we won the truck, and I think the consensus is take it for one fun ride and then sell it.
I'm not a truck kind of guy. That's probably no great surprise to anybody. However, a couple of my sons and I went together this past year and bought a pickup truck because they do an awful lot of construction work and around their house, and they need to load, take things back and forth. And so it was a used one, but we went together and actually bought a pickup. So I am part owner of a pickup truck, which is really weird for me. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right for me.
Things.
Yeah. And that's what they got it for. Is this going to work? I mean, seriously, what do you think?
I am bothered by government having to do this to treat people to prizes for doing what I view as a civic duty for your own health and for others. There's just so much of it right now. I mean, you're right. It began with the savings bonds, and then it moved to gift cards. The governor simultaneously
patriotic gift cards.
Very, very patriotic. The governor simultaneously cut off extended unemployment benefits while also saying that he would establish a bonus for people going back to work. And as a side note, I haven't heard much about that for a while. It's been 2 briefings with no update on that one. And now we're here where we're offering guns and trucks to get your vaccination. So it's kind of a weird thing for government to do, but we're talking about it. It's generating publicity. It's in the conversation. It's I think putting the vaccine and the possibility of gaining stuff from getting your vaccine into the conversation. And it looks like in Ohio, where they've got, the $1 million winners, that the rate of vaccination has gone up. So I do think that West Virginia's governor and others are probably on to something. It's just, I think there's a legitimate debate about whether this is the proper role of government.
And the governor, to his credit, even said that yesterday. I think he said it yesterday. Basically, he says, I can't believe we have to do this.
Yeah, I mean, he acknowledges it, and I would also give him credit for saying, it's not ideal, but here we are. And I think he seems to enjoy it. I mean, he kind of likes a splash. What political figure, when it comes down to it, doesn't like giving stuff away? He likes that it's on. First, he called it West Virginia Day, which is true, and then yesterday he made more of a Father's Day emphasis. But it's both. West Virginia Day is observed, I think, that Monday, so kind of that weekend this first drawing is going to be. So he certainly sees that there is some political debate about whether this is the proper role of government, but has decided it's worth doing, and I think he's having some fun with it.
I also think, and this is just a gut feeling of mine, I haven't talked to him or even seen him in person for a long time. I have a feeling he was a little bit, I don't know if embarrassed is quite the right word, but the savings bond thing almost became a joke. When you looked around and saw all the other stuff other states were doing, and particularly Ohio with the $5 million drawings and the 4-year scholarships and so on, Governor Justice took a lot of ribbing, certainly for me and other people, for the savings bond idea. So I think he wanted to redeem himself maybe a little bit with something bigger and better.
Did it redeem himself? Yeah, he got out there early on the savings bonds, and I saw him several times on cable news broadcasts talking about it. Really kind of made a splash with it before other states had done things. And then you compare your $100 savings bond to Ohio's $1 million. It's like, oh, well, that's nice. So yeah, I mean, he certainly alluded to kind of a rivalry with Ohio. California is now out with, you can get $1.5 million in California. Of course, in West Virginia, your $1 million probably goes farther than your $1.5 million might in California. But yeah, some of these things definitely made the savings bond that will mature to $100 in 20 years look small in comparison.
Well, I'll tell you what's not small. $700 million.
Oh, man, we're going to all have to chip in.
That's not small. Wall Street Journal this week. Now, Governor Justice and his companies have had all sorts of financial problems, tax problems, some legal issues over the years, unpaid bill. I mean, this is not, the justice companies having financial issues are not a big deal. But Wall Street Journal this week reports that, and Governor Justice, I think, has now acknowledged it, he himself is on the line personally for $700 million. He confirmed that yesterday, correct?
He did, and was more blunt about that than I had expected. But the Wall Street Journal article, which was pretty eye-opening, had anonymous sources. People close, I trust them, it was people close to this case somewhere, but the governor himself confirmed it yesterday.
And it's a complicated story. If you subscribe to the Journal, you can read it. If you don't subscribe, they don't let you go behind their paywall. I finally had to break down and actually buy a subscription, not because of this, but because the Journal does a lot of good stuff. So you can certainly read it online, and there's more information out there at WV Metro News and so on. It's a complicated story, but the bottom line is that he himself is on the line for $700 million, personal guarantee, and I guess at least some, if not all of his kids are on the line too, right?
Jay, who has been running the coal operations, is on the line to a limited amount. Jill, who runs the Greenbrier and the other hospitality-related aspects of the business, I have not seen her name mentioned. I read the governor is suing the lender in court, and that does not mention Jill. But poor Kathy Justice, who seems just like a calm and decent human being, also is on the hook for an unlimited amount of money. The total amount of the loan that remains is $700 million. And so combined with essentially the governor and Kathy have guaranteed whatever amount of the loan exists. And that is $700 million at this point.
The sense I got, and you were there, so maybe you can give me a better sense of this. The sense I got was the governor doesn't seem to be treating this as a big deal.
Well, you can look at his history. He has been come after in court for all kinds of money in the past. I've reported on him owing $2.5 million on a helicopter, and he personally guaranteed it. And I thought that was a lot of money. He was in Judge Irene Berger's courts. The businesses were, but represented by the governor, for an enormous millions of dollars of debt that had just ballooned, and it was there because the companies had dragged their feet on paying, and the amount had continued to grow. And so, it's not a situation, it's a lifestyle almost. But this is the most I've ever seen, and he's up against Credit Suisse on the other side, an international banking company that is lawyered up and getting serious. So I would be losing sleep over this if I were him, but he does have a lot of experience in court and with debt.
The $700 million, and correct me if I'm wrong because I may well be, the $700 million he's on the hook for personally, the personal guarantee, is actually more than his estimated net worth right now. Am I not right about that?
I'm a little confused about his net worth, honestly. But so he was widely described as West Virginia's only billionaire for a long time, and then Forbes came out and that was not necessarily on his gold doubloons that he has in the bank that he jumps into and swims in. It was based on his business properties, and his business is him. It's a family company. It's closely held. So that took into account what the businesses had. But Forbes actually downgraded him based on these most recent financial turns of events and essentially subtracted roughly in the area of the $700 million that he's on the hook for from him being a billionaire, which brought him down to mere mortal status. I think that they say he's now worth $450 million or something, but no longer among the ranks of billionaires. I don't think West Virginia technically has one anymore, and the governor can no longer lay claim to that.
It is interesting from a political point of view, Brad. He has, there was a big article, last year, deadbeat billionaire. His taxes that he owes and lack of payment to companies and this story. And so, this is not a story in isolation. There are a lot of financial problems with the Justice companies, and in this case with Justice himself. And yet it doesn't seem to stick in terms of political, right? It just, I don't know whether it's too complicated for the average person to really get a handle on or what.
Yeah, and it's almost like, sometimes this happened with the Trump stuff. It was just so much that it was like, okay, well, let me know when there's a resolution. But the governor has made such political hay out of, I'm a businessman, I've been there, done that, this is in my wheelhouse, I'm good at math, just trust me. And he has parlayed that with things like his idea that we should eliminate the personal income tax in West Virginia. That was a big part of his pitch. I'm a businessman, I know this stuff. Well, when you're in debt for $700 million, what I have begun to wonder politically, that's what you're asking, is how long can you make that claim with any degree of credibility with the public? I'm a businessman. All right, well, you, sir, are $700 million in debt. And I'm like you. I wonder if it sticks or if he just continues to plow through it and continues to say, I'm a businessman. I've been there, I've done that.
Well, the good news is you'll be following it for us whenever it happens, whatever he says. I know I'll find it from Brad McElhaney.
Man, I need a high finance intern to tell me how all this stuff works.
You know what? You can borrow Biff if you need him.
All right. Hey, I'm supposed to ask you about decaf too.
Oh, yeah. I discovered this morning decaf coffee is bad for your heart. I switched from caffeine to decaf a long time ago. New American Heart Association study comes out this week, or at least is reported this week, and it says caffeine coffee is actually better for your heart. Decaf coffee is bad for your heart.
Oh,
you can't trust anything anymore. Yeah, I might as well.
What's down is up, what's up is down.
That's exactly right. I got to run, Brad. Have a good day. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Howard. Drink the good
Biffy,
stuff.
I'll talk to you tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, with the Go Run of the Big Gig. Are you back with me?
I am back for a Thursday.
We'll keep on doing it until we get it right.
That could be a long time.
ABC News is already in progress.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
The White House, a Russia.
All righty, Biff. Did we get everything in? I didn't need a break there, did I? Okay, all right. I had planned to take a break with Erica, but we just kept on going, which is okay. All right. As far as I know, we have a meeting, so I guess I'll be down. I've got a couple of things I want to look at while I'm down there anyway, so I'll be down a little bit if you need me for anything. My usual question, how's the house coming? You getting any closer? All righty. Then you'll be the homeowner and in debt the rest of your life. All right, I'll see you in a little bit. Thanks for your help. I really appreciate it. All right, bye.
From the French Open, Osaka had been facing backlash from the tournament for deciding to boycott the media, citing mental health issues. Serena Williams saying she'd like to give Osaka a hug, and fellow athletes Usain Bolt, Kyrie Irving, and Venus Williams also backing Osaka, as did Nike and other major sponsors. Inez de la Cuetara, ABC News, Paris.
As 11 U.S. states announced 70% of their adult population has now received at least